So this leads us to the Omar fluff up with Trump. She said something which I thought was the most amazing form of cultural appropriation. If you don't live in a place and you say, I love your place better than you do, that is literally the textbook form of cultural appropriation.
Yeah, you got to decide, are you a U.S. citizen or are you going to identify with the hellhole you left? Because we've got 3 socialist freshmen, I think they're all freshmen, that are part of this progressive movement, that last week, when they all left Washington, they were in a tizzy against Nancy Pelosi, the liberal in chief.
For not being
they called Nancy a racist. And, there's one thing, Tom, I come from a big family.
Yes.
And I had 2 little sisters that were like 10 and a half months apart. And they were tight, but when those 2 got in a fight, the worst thing you could do is take sides, because then they both turn on you.
Oh,
yes. There's an old Israeli proverb about that.
Trump just couldn't leave it alone, and he decided to get in on this whole thing between the socialist gang and Pelosi, and he starts trashing the socialist gang. And what he said, was pretty significant, but he didn't need to say it. I mean, when your political opponent is hanging themselves, you stand back. When they're defeating themselves, you shut up and let them keep digging their hole.
I have a different take on it. I think that is the old rule. And I think Trump's teaching us the way to win, because he's playing the news cycle. And those liberals will lick their wounds for only so long before they're back at it anyway. It's not like it's like the scorpion. You knew what I was when you got me.
Fair point.
They're not going to come around and continue to kill them.
Yeah. Well, and his method is more to stir the pot.
Yes.
That they have begun stirring. And stir it up so that they make even more of a mess of it.
So that leads us to the famous tweet that came out last weekend. And I should tell you, Todd Starnes actually probably inspired Trump's tweet, because he focused on Ilhan Omar, the Somali refugee who came here and now is the Minneapolis congresswoman.
We're so racist, you can move here from Somalia and be a congressman.
In Minneapolis, yes, you can.
Wow.
Yes. I used to live in Minneapolis. I know what that's like. But here's what he said.
All right.
So interesting to see the, quote, progressive Democrat congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt, and inept anywhere in the world, if they even have a functioning government at all. Now, loudly and viciously telling the people of the United States, the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how our government is to be run. Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Now, they came from the Bronx, Detroit, Chicago, in Minneapolis, inner city.
Crime-infested, well, Minneapolis.
Yes.
And San Francisco, if you mix in Pelosi.
Okay.
Right, but he's talking about these 4.
One of them was from Somalia.
One of them is a direct immigrant herself. 2 of them are the children of immigrants. If you call coming from Puerto Rico, which is pretty bad off, not by the United States. I mean, we're dumping millions of dollars.
Is any one of them truly an immigrant?
Omar.
Out of 4, so 1 out of 4?
1 out of 4 is a direct immigrant
Trump
himself.
was 25% correct.
But you have to ask, first of all, you have to decide, what does he mean when he says, why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken, crime-infested places from which they came? They came from 4 urban hellhole cities.
So let me work back in my theory of what I think the strategy is. I think that when politicians say things that are obviously stupid, like Obama, I visited 57 states. Well, we all know that was ridiculous, but that didn't affect him whatsoever. Dan Quayle misspells potato.
Sure.
He's gone. Okay,
Yeah.
so they pick and choose what the issue is, and
The
Trump
media.
knows that. That's
The
right.
media, yes.
That's what I said. He's
Yeah.
playing a news cycle game here.
Yep.
They have been throwing. They have been throwing artillery at him for 2.5 years, and he's maintained and continued to make
Right.
progress. Why does he want to change the game now?
Right.
It doesn't work when they're arguing with themselves. It works when they're arguing with him. He wants the argument back on him.
Right.
Oh,
Yes.
there you
Oh,
go.
that's very true.
And you
that
know-
is his style.
Yeah.
But because they're talking about him 24/7, not Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
It's a news
Trump-
cycle fill-up game.
Trump may be one of very, very few Republicans who doesn't fear the media.
Because he wasn't made by the media.
Yeah, yeah. And so, my thing is, he says, then come back and show us how it is done. These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough. I'm sure Nancy Pelosi would be happy to quickly work out the free travel arrangements. So that was the tweet that got this all set up.
Right, this is clearly, I mean, as a comedian, you can see he's trying to be purposefully provocative.
Yes.
And when there's no vocal inflection with it, it comes off as stale and hard. If you said the line, "Hey, I'm sure Nancy Pelosi would blah blah blah," it would sound funny, like a comedic delivery.
Yeah.
But text doesn't deliver vocal inflection.
Right.
So I think he's being purposefully provocative. Is my point.
Yeah, and what we saw, let's take this to Oklahoma politics. What we saw, the only passion, the only energy left in the Democrat Party is from the hard left socialist. Okay? They are the driving energy of the Democrat Party, not just in Oklahoma, but nationally. I asked one of my friends who's a very much an insider Democrat in Oklahoma. Her daughter ran Bernie Sanders' primary campaign here in Oklahoma. Won it, beat Hillary in it. And after the 2018 elections, when Kendra Horn won over in Oklahoma City, I asked her, I said, so how did that happen? I said, you guys lost miserably in rural Oklahoma,
Oh yeah.
but you took this congressional seat. And she said, because Oklahoma City is one of the few places where the Sanders campaign crew stayed connected, stayed organized. It's not even that much in the Tulsa market, and they did have a little bit of gain in Tulsa. But again, the energy in the Democrat Party is on the far left, socialist left.
Right.
To Trump, if he can discredit that, the energy in the Democrat Party will be flat.
Well,
Maybe.
And